What things did you do as a kid that you now realize is extremely weird? There were spiders and mice in my room, which totally freaked me out, so every night before I went to sleep I'd whisper a report of what the weather was outside to encourage them to go outside rather than stay inside and bite me in my sleep. That is so cute. Rather than wanting them to be killed or refusing to sleep in your own room, you just told them the weather instead. Super cute. Found out that the air had germs in it and tried not to breathe too much. I remember asking the teacher if we clap. Are we killing germs, knowing full well what would happen? A class full of 9-year-olds clapping like morons to kill the evil germs. I used to host imaginary science shows where I would get questions from viewers that I had to answer. I don't remember a lot of the questions from my fake audience, but I remember trying to explain that glass actually could let air through, and that was the explanation to how we didn't suffocate when all the doors and windows were shut. Young me did not know a whole lot about ventilation. Edit. I also remembered something else now. My mom worked as a nurse, and she sometimes let me take syringes home with me, both with and without needles. Don't really know how I feel about that nowadays, though. I sometimes took a bit of everything from our bathroom, shower gels, shampoo, whatever fluid I could get my hands on basically, and I filled a mixture of the crap and put into a syringe. I then sneaked around the apartment and chose my victim, a poor plant of some kind. I injected a small dose of the magical elixir into the poor plant. Super happy this didn't develop some sort of mental disorder for me later. I used to have science experiments in the bathroom sink. Meaning, I'd go to the bathroom and lock the door. Once in, I'd make sure the sink drain was shut and then proceed to add every cleaner/chemical/shampoo etc. under the sink to the sink in hopes of a reaction. Never got one, but it also never stopped me from trying. In hindsight, I probably could have killed myself if I had mixed the wrong stuff. I obviously didn't. I used to eat tissues as a kid. My mom found out one day and yelled at me to stop, as any sane parent would do, so I started eating them in secret. Sneaking away with the tissue box to another room to eat a tissue or two. Until one day when I was about 5 years old, I had to go to the hospital. I had no idea what was going on. All I knew was that I had trouble breathing through my nose. Before my operation, I was in the hospital and I overheard one of the nurses say that they just needed to remove the excess tissue in my nose. Naturally, I thought that the tissues I had eaten had started getting clogged up in my nose and I never ate a tissue again. I made the realization at 14 that it was muscle tissue in my nose and not the actual tissues I was eating. Edit. I'm glad to learn that I'm not alone with my strange habit. Also wanted to add that I saw some people mention getting tissue stuck in their ears, and I had a close call in primary school when I rolled a piece of paper into a really small ball and put it into my ear. If you haven't realized, I wasn't the brightest child, had to go to the medical bay to get it taken out with tweezers. That was a roller coaster. I made the realization at school in science class and just audibly said "Holy F." One person asked me what was wrong. I never told them. I'd like to imagine if you did tell them. Lol. Holy F. What's wrong? I had to go to the doctor as a kid because I had a hard time breathing and I overheard them saying they just needed to remove an excess of tissue. I used to eat tissues, so I thought I had a literal tissue buildup in my nose. What? When I was around 4 to 5 years old, I remember I used to sneak downstairs very early in the morning and search for any cups with that half an inch of cold sweet sugary coffee in, and drink them before anyone got up. Guess I may have been the youngest caffeine addict in Britain. Edit. Back in the day, my parents drank camp coffee. I don't know if this is available outside of the UK, but it's essentially a thick coffee syrup which you use with hot water and milk. I loved it, so much better than instant. Double edit. The hazards of doing this were higher than you might think. Both my parents were heavy smokers, so there was a high probability of there being a dog end, cigarette butt, dropped in a cup somewhere. I wasn't that thirsty. Third edit. Nearly 6,000 upvotes? I'm surprised this is still running. Laughing out loud. Hope some of you have tried a few camp experiment coffees. A few years ago, I was visiting my aunt and uncle, and they had some old film from the 80s of my extended family on a camping trip. There was a full playset there, including a trampoline, and my mother was filming my cousins and I playing. I'm not sure why my aunt and uncle had the tape instead of my mother, but whatever. I was about 3 at the time, and my mother panned the camera away from my cousins playing on a swing set towards me on the trampoline. Except I was lying face down on the trampoline, full on thrusting my hips into it as hard as I could. Now, I don't specifically remember doing that, but I have a pretty good idea of how my little mind worked at the time. I'm certain that I was just trying to see if I could build up enough force to lift myself off the trampoline mat, or flip myself over. Still, not exactly the best thing to be watching with your aunt and uncle, who threatened to save it and show at my wedding. Joke's on them, I pocketed the tape when they weren't looking. And now we wait to find out if they had multiple copies. I used to waste a crap ton of water by turning on the shower and lay on the floor next to it with a towel over my body and fall asleep with a tiny bit of water splashing on my face. I used to imagine I was in a cave and it was raining outside for some reason. Ah, good times. My parents' shower had a seat in it and I would always hide under it to get out of the rain. Yes. I did this, too, and would create complex scenarios of why I was stranded in the rain. Not me, but my partner used to keep kiwis, the fruits, as pets. He would name them and take care of them, until his mom took them to blend into a smoothie. That was a rude awakening for him. Glad you clarified that his mom wasn't blending New Zealanders into smoothies. I, a girl, used to sit back to front on the toilet to pee. My reasoning was that way it sounded like my dad peeing and then the monsters wouldn't try to grab me. Childhood anxiety is wild. Then you have a place for your comic books and your chocolate milk. In grade 1 we would sit in a group on the floor in front of the teacher while she read us stories. I would sit at the back of the group against the wall and pull my pants halfway down my bum. I liked feeling the cool ground/wall against my bare butt. When I was a wee lad I would wander about the house naked and pull back me foreskin to show visitors. I don't do that anymore though. Why not? Because he doesn't get visitors anymore. When I was in elementary school I would use one hand to cover my butt when I showered because I was afraid that a monster would warp through the bathroom wall and attack my butthole. Reminds me of that one story about the mom who made her son wear a butt plug for a while because she was high and swore up and down monsters would go into/come out of their child's butthole. Edit. Found the. I was a bit off with the details I recalled. Web link. What? I didn't know that people could see my eyes move and used to have my head in one direction and look with my eyes somewhere else. It wasn't before a girl saw me looking at her and said, "What are you looking at?" I figured that out. I was 7 or 8 years old and my mind was blown. My eyes move? I did this in school and was looking at a teacher in an inappropriate place and she called me out in front of the whole class. I hate child me. I remember thinking the same thing, so when I wanted to watch something and be sneaky I would turn my head one way and look the opposite. I would walk out the bathroom after taking a crap and spread my ass cheeks to whoever was in the living room and ask, "Is my butt clean?" One time it was the guy cleaning our carpet. Imagine cleaning some person's carpet and out of nowhere this gremlin of a child hobbles out of the bathroom, spreads his cheeks, and asks you to tell him how clean his butthole is. This comment actually made me laugh out loud. How absurd when you picture it from that guy's perspective. I don't do actual laugh out louds often, but you're right, the wording and mental imagery was too hilarious. That poor guy. I swear to God, officer, I did not ask that kid to do that. Please believe me. You were the baby bear in the Charmin commercials. I used to eat mechanical pencil lead. No idea how I got into the habit, but I think I enjoyed the crunchiness of it. Did it for a little while, but showed a classmate and she immediately went to the teacher who then called my mom who scolded me and told me to stop. Goodbye 0.7 millimeters, you will be missed. Damn snitches ruin all the fun. I used to love flossing with it. The amount of times the lead snapped and got stuck in my gums was a lot. Running any lollipop or sucker I ate under the faucet water after every lick because somehow it tasted better after being rinsed. Lol. It does taste better. I never did it on purpose, but if I dropped my lollipop on the ground I would wash it and it tasted great. I once took a dick pic on my dad's phone because I thought it would be funny. I was 7 and I didn't know what dick pics were or what pedophilia was or anything. My dad never brought it up. Update: I asked my dad about it. He doesn't remember it apparently. Thoughtful face. "Let's get daddy in jail," said the cunning child to himself. He would sound insane trying to defend himself in court. "No, Your Honor. I did not look at porn. It's my own child's photo." "No, not like that either." Had an imaginary friend that I would make bets with, that I was guaranteed to win. The prize being ludicrous amounts of imaginary money. "Hey Joe, I bet you $1 I can hold my breath for 3 seconds. God, I was rich back then. I also made dumb bets. But mine were always against the devil for my eternal soul. I lost the thing around age 11 when I put it up against me catching my bouncy ball 10 times in a row. Feels nice knowing I'm going to hell for being clumsy. Edit: can I trade Reddit silver for my soul back please? Saying some gibberish all the time and thinking that it is probably meaningful in some languages. I felt smart as hell. I used to make random noise and word combinations and get into really weird contorted poses to be the only one to ever do this. That sounds familiar. I used to touch random things at unusual spots wherever I went, like the bottom of a railing or one single leaf on a clover field because, who knows, maybe I was the first to ever touch this. I still do this. When I was a kid, in the 80s, I had very strict teachers. Any form of backtalking or, God forbid, swearing, would get you a quick slap and a fast march to the head teacher's office to explain yourself. My teacher once sat me down for a talk, as happened fairly often, which was basically her just berating me. In the middle of this she suddenly stopped and told me I needed to keep my eyes under control, because I had this terrible nervous habit of twitching my eyes when she was talking to me. In actual fact, I was tracing out imaginary swear words with my eyes. Basically, drawing out things like piss off and shut up, tracing the letters with my eyes as if they were right in front of her face. I didn't realize she could see my eye movements. I don't know why. As an adult it's obvious that my eyes were darting all over the place and looking crazy, but child me thought that it was subtle enough that it was unnoticeable, and that I was being super sneaky. As soon as I realized she could see it, I stopped, but looking back, probably the funniest part to me now is how much it must have unnerved her. And she never did know the reason for it. To her, I must have just been the weird kid with the crazy eyes. Oh my goodness, I just tried this with my eyes. I'm sorry, but you must have looked insane. This is so funny. Everyone who read this sat here trying it and we all spelling F off haha. I spelled piss off haha. When I was around 5, I would basically act like a train and follow the lines on the playground whilst also using my hands as those little rail things on the wheels, coupling rods. I would also look directly up when it was cold and use my mouth as a chimney. Honestly, it must have looked like I was insane. That's funny as hell. I ate cupcake wrappers after finishing the cupcakes. Like I would just suck on it, the paper ones, and chew until there was zero flavor, then spit it out. Oh wow, I used to do this. I've forgotten until I read your comment. I can taste the papery cake crumbs now, aha. Just making sure I got every last bit of sweet cupcake. When I was 4 or so, we lived in a flat in the USA that had this massive concrete structure behind it. I've no idea what it was, but at the bottom of it was at least a foot of dank water, trees, etc. I was convinced it was a swimming pool, and begged my mom to let me swim in it. No, absolutely not, she said. It's full of snapping turtles, and they will snap off your fingers. I also wanted to eat all these berries that were on local bushes. No, absolutely not. Those are poisonous. They'll make you very sick and then dead. Clever me, I put the two ideas together and thus spent that summer throwing poison berries into the swamp structure in order to kill all the turtles. 4 years old, stuck on murder mode for 3 months. It might have been a foundation from a torn-down building that still had the basement. There's a thought. It's been a mystery to me for years. I would add several drops of Tabasco to my unsweetened iced tea. I called it Asian tea despite knowing Tabasco and Lipton were in no way Asian. I also didn't like it very much but made myself drink it so that I could understand the Asian community better. Asian friends I have now are still baffled at the connection I tried to make. Edit. I guess all the obligatory thanks for everyone. I left out one detail because I didn't think this would catch on, but I'd only do this with my red Kool-Aid cup from a set we had that included a red pitcher. Not sure if that changes things. When I was 7, on a 5-day field trip, I put salt on apples and convinced my friends this is how Armenians ate them. At that time, I have never met an Armenian, or had a good idea where Armenia was, but for some reason, I insisted that's how it's done and that by doing that I'm worldly. Edit. Well, this blew up unexpectedly. Thank you to all the Armenians, and also the non-Armenians who validated my 7-year-old self's worldliness. I knew I was onto something, I just wish people listened to me more back then. To salt on apples and various other fruits and condiments. Edit number 2. I feel motivated to track down all those naysayers from my elementary school and rub their noses in your comments, kind Redditors. My great-grandparents, who I'd never met sadly, were from Lebanon and they actually did this. They did the same with lemons, cucumbers, and various other fresh fruits and vegetables. They had their own garden and lived to be over 100. I'm from Iran, and cucumber with salt is extremely popular. I eat lemon and apples with salt from time to time too. Oh crap. I do this and I'm Armenian. My sister taught me to do it with sour green apples. Found a cat skull buried in the garden, pulled the teeth out and put them under my pillow for what I thought would be easy money. Imagine being your parents. Where did they get those teeth, Madge? Whose teeth are they? God damn it, if the tooth fairy hadn't been surprised, I don't know what will surprise her. That fairy was scared as F. Why does this kid have fangs? Thank you for watching. Please subscribe to be the first to know about Red Rabbit Reader's new videos. If you like our videos, please like them on YouTube and share them with your friends. We welcome your comments below. Press to start another of our videos.